liberator, but you can't murder liberation. You can murder revolutionary, but you can't murder revolution. And you can murder a freedom fighter, but you can't murder freedom.
You're tapped in, so let's get right to it. Flock cameras seem to be in the news quite often, quite a bit lately anyway. There is this movement to destroy flock cameras anytime these individuals who are a part of this movement, they see them, they destroy them. And not only that, but cities and towns are now against flock cameras and microphones in their cities and towns. They're being removed or covered with plastic bags. Now, why is this an issue? Well, it's been discovered that these flock cameras are violating constitutional rights. That these flock cameras, not only that, but they're being misused. There is no oversight for them. Police departments and police officers in these departments use flock camera and microphone information illegally. They trace or follow their exes, whether that's a man or woman, ex-wife, ex-husband. Also, they are able to access the data, license plates, things of that nature, facial recognition, license plates recognition, things like that. Flock or cameras anyway have invaded society in such a way. Again, most people are totally against them, and for good reason. I think the concern is now, okay, what are they really for? What do flock cameras really do? Why are they up there like that? All right. So we're going to cut into that. We're going to find out, dive into it, not too deeply, but we'll dive into it to get an understanding about what flock cameras actually do. So flock safety. Well, before we get into that, please like, share, follow, comment, and subscribe to Tapped. You are tapped in. This is the art of political discourse. We appreciate your participation and viewership. Please, again, like, share, and subscribe to this channel. We appreciate it very, very much. Now, what flock cameras actually do is really, I think, beyond a lot of our comprehension. So let's get to who produces them. Flock Safety makes AI-powered automatic license plate reader, the ALPR, okay? Automatic license plate reader cameras now installed by police departments, HOAs, and businesses across the country. As of mid-2020, there are over 100,000 of these cameras nationwide, and they've crossed 150 plus million vehicle scans per day. All right, per day, 150 plus million vehicle scans per day. That means either facial recognition or license plate recognition is being conducted by these flock cameras. Now, unlike old school traffic cameras, a flock camera scans every vehicle that passes, not just one suspected of anything. Its AI logs the license plate, make, model, color, bumper stickers, and even scratches or dents for every car, then uploads it to a shared searchable national database. Any police agency with a flock contract, and there are 22,000 plus law enforcement users with system access, okay? Now can query that data, often with little oversight on who searches it or why. Newer Condor units, and those are the ones like the eye in the sky, they move when you move. These are the new flock models. But that new Condor unit, or the Condor units, add pan, tilt, zoom, and real-time video streaming of both vehicles and people, moving beyond plate reading into general surveillance. Now, this reminds me, just reading this, of the book 1984. George Orwell, I think his name is. That book is very insightful. You guys might want to pick that book up and read it, because what I'm talking about now is actually what's in that book. And this book was written back in the 1930s, I think it was. But it details everything that I'm discussing with you guys now. Now, should Americans be concerned about any of this? I say, yeah. I say that there's a real escalating backlash, and it's not just civil liberty groups anymore who are up in arms about this, you know? So data reaching ICE, federal agencies without authorization go into these flock systems, okay? In fact, Dayton, Ohio suspended its cameras. City workers literally covered them with trash bags after finding 7,000 plus instances where data had been improperly accessed for immigration enforcement, all right? In San Francisco, an audit found that 299 improper queries by federal and out-of-state agencies over roughly a year, and a class action suit alleges ICE, CBP, the FBI, and ATF collectively queried the city's cameras more than 1.6 million times in 7 months. All right. Now, in a state, now they've done this in a state whose law bars exactly that type of action or behavior, you know. So documented misuse by individual officers, that is an issue that raises a lot of concern with a lot of people. Cases have surfaced of an officer using nationwide ALPR access, including flock data, to track a woman suspected of having had an abortion across state lines. What the hell? And separately, a Milwaukee officer allegedly using flock to stalk a former romantic partner. Now, these are just examples of some of the misuses by law enforcement. Now, imagine if you have some type of civil servant, law enforcement, or police officer who has a beef with you. All right. Then that means that this guy could find you using flock. He can find you, she could find you, and no telling what they'll do with that information or how things will play out once they have it, you know, depending on, I think, how serious this issue is with this individual who has access to this stuff. So anyway, legal fights are underway as a result of all this. Courts are split. A Virginia federal court and a Washington appeals court have both ruled that for photographing a plate on a public road isn't a Fourth Amendment search, while the ACLU is pushing the opposite mosaic theory argument that aggregating everyone's movements citywide can reveal where people sleep, worship, or protest, and that this aggregate picture deserves Fourth Amendment protection. All right. Now, drawing on the Supreme Court Carpenter versus United States reasoning, you know, now, you know, so I think that, again, we're dealing with a system that is slowly eroding certain rights, you know, certain constitutional rights. They're finding inroads, loopholes, things of that nature, and or different interpretations, at least the courts, for violations of the Constitution and or violations of civil liberties and rights. All right. Now, regulation is thin and inconsistent. 35 states have no ALPR, specifically law at large, you know, and where the rules exist, California, Utah, Vermont, Maine, they vary widely on retention limits and warrant requirements. So momentum against flock is real, but not universal. Okay. You have 53 municipalities in 20 states that dropped their flock contracts in the first half of 2026. All right. Alone. That's this year. But other cities are expanding. For example, Stockton, California just approved a 3.15 million, you know, that amount. They approved 3.15 million fourth flock drones that can respond to 911 calls. Now, what I have to say to that is that that's Stockton, California. And, you know, I think that is the way of most police departments here in Los Angeles. They have a drone unit. You know, they actually send up drones. You know, when 911 calls come in, the drones go and, you know, check out that 911 call ahead of the patrol car or the patrolman's, the police's arrival to determine and or detect any ambushes, threats to their safety. Now, that's odd, right? That's odd because when I first read that, it was being explained that those drones would only respond to emergency calls, whereas someone's hurt, something of that nature. But it seemed to have expanded since I've read it. Uh, from what I understand now, just not just an emergency 911 call, but a 911 call where, let's say, something is happening, or a neighbor says, "Hey, I have a lot of people standing in front of my yard or in my alley and I don't feel safe." That drone will go and look, check this out and send back to, whatever unit that operates these drones information, footage, film, and audio. So these are real serious issues when it comes to certain liberties and or surveillance practices by police departments. All right. So again, Stockton isn't alone in this. Los Angeles actually has a drone fleet for this purpose specifically. All right. And in due time, you can imagine if this thing continues, this drone program in Los Angeles or any police station or department around the country, in time, they'll be attaching firearms to these drones. These drones will be able to conduct um, stops, will be able to apprehend people and fire upon suspected criminals, depending on the severity of the crime. So just think about all this stuff. This is what this stuff is leading to. So when the question is asked or the statement is made, what does flock cameras really do? You can say, okay, what are they really capable of? Or what is let's say the design, what will be the outcome of these flock cameras, and especially those that are connected or hooked onto drones. What kind of role or how will their roles play out in communities? This is something to really think about. But anyway, the bottom line is that the technology gives police and indirectly federal agencies a warrantless searchable record of nearly everyone's driving movements with weak legal guardrails and multiple documented cases of misuse or unauthorized access. That's the seriousness of it. That's the issue that a lot of people are concerned with. Again, police departments and federal agencies, they use these flock surveillance cameras as well as mics, audio, to conduct warrantless searches, of people's movements, what they're saying, where they're going, things of that nature. So this is a concern that a lot of people actually have for good reason. All right. Now, whether that crosses into unconstitutional litigation, mass surveillance is currently being litigated and unsettled, or should it be said that this is one of those situations where because there's no real oversight, there are no real policies regarding this stuff. This flock camera as well as mic, then it's considered that, okay, this stuff will play out in court because there's no concrete policies in terms of operation, what they can and cannot do. So again, American people have a right to be very concerned about all of this, because in time these things will evolve. If there's no oversight, if there's no regulations attached to this flock system, which we think also attached to police department drones, then the sky's the limit for these guys, and that should be a concern for everyone. Now, like I said, I do have a clip. Let's jump to this clip one more time. Please like, share, follow, and subscribe. You are tapped in. This is the Art of Political Discourse. I got a clip for you guys. Let's check this out. Again, man, here's the country at work, the government at work in ways that a lot of us are not okay with. All right. The government is in your home already. Now the government is in your car. And actually, you didn't need flock to have the government inside your vehicle when you're driving, because the vehicle is now produced or manufactured where it has surveillance in it Tesla, for instance, has cameras that records everything. So think about that. All right. Let's get to this clip. Let's see what they want to say about this.
Are designed to track a person, aren't they?
Not to track a person, no.
This is a flock camera known as a condor. Unlike the Falcon license plate reader camera, you'll notice this does track the movements of people. Whether or not it was designed to specifically track a person, you can see right now, in real time, no matter which way I move, the camera moves with me.
This particular device does not have a camera in it. It has a very sensitive microphone connected to.
Now, this is the one I was talking about that initially came out. And this was the one that was being used to detect distress calls and or gunfire. And it has evolved over the years, you know, to where it can listen in on conversations.
AI. It listens for, quote, sounds of distress. The only way it can detect sounds of distress is if it's always listening. And then what is the threshold for a sound of distress is a matter of policy. When the news segment aired, they showed me sharing my concerns about how this technology is going to be used. Then they cut to a police officer who countered me. Well, these are not designed to listen to conversations. Okay, where did you get your engineering degree? Since you know all about designing the electronics, please tell me, if I wanted to listen to conversations, how would I design this different? Would I put a microphone in it? Oh, it has a microphone. Would I connect it to AI? It's connected to AI. Would I make it cloud enabled? This is cloud enabled. And that was my whole point. This originally only listened for gunshots. Now it's listening for sounds of distress. What if I want to listen for unpopular political opinions? And that's where we're going. We are going there.
Literally are.
And that's where we are. So we aren't going there. That's where we are, literally. And again, those flock mics, those mics that a lot of people noticed early on that were put up were initially put up just to listen for the sounds of gunfire. Now, you don't have to imagine where these were put up, where they were placed, right? So it evolved from just listening for gunfire to listening to conversations, listening for sounds of distress, you know, and like it's been noted, federal agencies use this, or they can use this to find out who are political dissidents, who don't agree, let's say, with the Trump administration in terms of its policies and the laws it is trying to pass. This thing going on with the Trump administration seems to upset a lot of people. It's immigration policies, a lot, right? So they have access to find out, understand, and collect data on anyone who does not agree with them, just by accessing that flock system. It's not a good look, not for the American citizen, at least. Okay, now that's that, all right? And again, those things started out the way they did, just listening for gunfire. Now they listen to whole conversations, and now also attached to them are cameras. So if you're having a conversation, it's just not the conversation that it's picking up. It's also picking up the individual who's speaking. Now the Supreme Court, as to whether or not they think this is a violation of, certain constitutional rights is one thing. But, the danger is this: the Supreme Court has the ability and or discretion to interpret law how they see fit. So if they want to go along with whatever, the prevailing, consensus is, and they're in cahoots, or they're, a part of that party, or in support, certain individuals in politics, who's to stop them? Who's to stop them? All right. Let me give you guys this other clip. And this is also just in way of context. It's going to let you know what's really going on with this flock system. Okay, here you go.
there in order to help with our investigative leads.
Auburn normally has 12 in the city. Now they're down 2.
Based on our research so far, it looks like it was on April 26th.
That's when Sergeant Joe Almeida says the 2 cameras on Nevada Street and Marguerite Mine Road near Highway 49 were stolen. Officers found the poles that the cameras were mounted on empty and the cords cut. Both cameras were later found in a nearby canal.
So they're completely destroyed. They were completely submerged in the water, so we're unable to recover those cameras. But we're partnering with Flock to get them replaced.
And they'll probably be chopped down again. We can do this all night, baby.
Now, what this is, or in terms of context about this, is the fact that a lot of American citizens are now going after Flock cameras, surveillance cameras, and mics. They're literally taking it up on themselves to dismantle them and get rid of them. And they do it in the name of protecting their civil rights or, their freedoms, the constitutional rights to privacy. A lot of people support this. I would be one. But we think that this is a move that the people should be first on. Don't wait for government or Flock to regulate and or police itself, because that won't happen. The less that the American citizen says about something that infringes on certain rights, liberties, and or privacy, the more certain agencies, governments, or corporations will try to tread over those rights and liberties, those certain freedoms, So this is what's happening, not just here in California, but all over the country. Individuals are going after Flock cameras in the realest sense, not just, they're literally either burning them or dismantling them totally and wholly.
Placer County Sheriff's Office says one of its cameras was also stolen the same morning in the same area. That one hasn't been recovered. Why do you think someone would want to take those down?
Based on what we've seen, if you pay attention to nationwide, there's a big uproar in regards to cameras, government overwatch. So when you look at it from that standpoint, they're thinking Big Brother's paying attention to them 24/7, 7 days a week. But in theory, what we're looking for is intel gathering for wanted subjects, missing persons, things like that.
And that's the propaganda, right? That's what they tell people. But yeah, it is exactly what he said initially. Big Brother is to keep Big Brother out of our personal lives. Again, people, go read the book 1984 and you will see why this is so important. So he used the excuse, no, it's about tracking wanted individuals. No, but that's the excuse, and on the face of it, it sounds legit. But once these cameras start to initiate its license plates recognition, its facial recognition apparatus, that information, that data goes into a system. It's stored. The police departments, or federal agencies can go in there and just, search, look for whatever they want to, without a warrant, I might add, without a warrant. Okay.
But guys, stop chopping them down. I don't know. Maybe there's a reason why people are getting upset. Because this happened in Minnesota. They got the wrong dude.
Well, a mistake with new technology has led to a tense showdown between a Minnesota man and Plymouth police officers. They thought he'd stolen a $150,000 car based on bad information in the Flock system. Fox 9's court.
And what could go wrong? It's not like somebody could lose their life, their property, maybe other people in the car, other people.
And this is what they're saying about AI technology in general. It's not perfect. It cannot be perfect, in spite of what they tell us. AI generating information or, things of that nature can be not just misleading, but inaccurate. And that could cause someone their freedom and or their lives. This is the danger with AI technology or these products utilizing AI technology to as a function, as a means to collect data, things of that nature. Not a good look.
People on the road, what could go wrong? Right? I'm beginning to, just like in Jurassic Park, I'm talking about in the book. All right. 37.
An innocent man's story says about the broader increase in surveillance.
I want to invite you to a free trading and investing workshop right here in Los Angeles.
Rolling around in a Range Rover is all in a day's work for automotive journalist Joel Fetter. But TheDrive.com did
he was a journalist too. Jesus.
Did not sign him up for what happened when he walked out of Kohl's in Plymouth.
And I see 2 cop cars lit up with sirens blasting coming in the backup camera from the passenger side. Then I look to my left in the glass, and all of a sudden I see 2 more cop cars coming from my driver's side. So now I'm boxed and pinned in, and I got 4 cop cars, lights going.
Can you come out to me, please?
Fetter followed every order from wary officers.
Are you armed at all? No.
He says the officers had their hands on their holsters, but they never drew weapons, so the interaction stayed tense but manageable.
Well, luckily he wasn't a black guy. There's no telling how that would have turned out.
And eventually an officer revealed the reason for their suspicion.
The reason you have 4 cops here is because your license plate is registered as stolen license plates.
Fetter had enough documentation to convince them it was not stolen, and found out he'd been on their radar for a while.
They hit on our license plate readers the other.
Listen. This can go wrong.
Automatically read license.
Thank you, Lawrence. Now, if this guy was black, guns would have been drawn.
License plates all over the country. The company reports 20 billion vehicles pass its cameras every month, and its readers accurately capture 93% of the license plates. Plymouth alone has 15 intersections with flock cameras, including this one that tracked Fetter right into the Kohl's parking lot.
Now, again, this is the problem with Flock and AI. Again, a lot of people are viewing Flock as a violation of their constitutional rights, the rights to privacy, search, seizure, warrantless searches, warrantless or unlawful detainment, things of that nature, all because of the information and data that they are getting or extracting from Flock databases. So, you guys, this is something that we need to address again as a people, on a whole, everyone, because it will concern everyone. I don't care if you're black, white, red, brown, or yellow. These infringements, these unlawful intrusions into our private lives will continue to take place if we do not come together and let it be known, not through protests or anything else, because I think that, the system understands protests to such an extent. They're not worried about it. It doesn't move them. But to the extent where we take action as citizens of this country to let it be known, in no shape, form, or fashion will we allow things like this to take place or happen, to exist in our society. If you do anything less than that, trust and know you will be under a microscope or a fine-tooth comb if you don't address these issues. And Flock cameras and microphones is just one of many issues or concerns that Americans have in terms of privacy and constitutional rights. All right, Flock is just one. There are others who also violate those constitutional rights, liberties and freedoms that we don't hear about. So yeah, take this with a grain of salt, if you will. But listen, this is something that needs to be addressed. This is just as important as, let's say, you addressing your politician about not doing his damn job, and doing something about that, rather than just, hey, you're not doing your job. No, we're going to get rid of you. It should be viewed in the same light. All right. So tell us what you think about this. Are Flock cameras to our benefit, or flock cameras to our detriment? What are flock cameras really placed out in society to do? Give that some thought, people. All right. Put those thoughts in the comments. We'll answer each and every one of them. We say flock need to get the heck out of here, get the flock out of here. All right. That's what we say. And we say this because we recognize here at TAP that it is an attack. No matter how small or minute some of you see it as, or no matter how the flock manufacturers and the police departments and federal agencies that use it say it's not a threat, trust and know it's a threat to your civil liberties. All right. So let us know what you think in the comments. Don't hesitate. If you're for it, by all means, put that there. If you're against it, let us know why. So until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.
You can murder a liberator, but you can't murder liberation. You can murder a revolutionary, but you can't murder revolution. And you can murder a freedom fighter.